Well, let me plug my phone in. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we are going to talk about digitalizing your skills and experiences. And I think I actually just did a recent live on this, but I was feeling called to do another one. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do another one, right? Because what I teach on is intuitive guidance. And so if the intuition is saying to go, then that means to go. Somewhere, someone needs to hear this. Let me see something with my mic while we wait. Edit. Da 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 da. 1 second, y'all. I don't know what that is. Okay, not that one. No, it's not letting me. Okay, well, I hope you guys can hear me on YouTube. Anyways, digitalizing your skills. What does that even mean? Why would we do that? All of the things, right? And so when I'm talking about making your skills digital, I'm talking in terms of a digital product, right? Or a digital service, something that you can create, that you can walk people through, that you can either, a digital product is something that you create one time and then you continuously sell it, right? So you create it one time and then you keep on selling it. A service is not necessarily something that you create one time, but something where you are trading some time, right? Some time for money. That would be a digital service. You would meet if you're doing coaching or consulting, Jesus. If you are doing something like that, then you would, why did that pop up? If you are doing something like that, then you would meet via Zoom, Google Meet, something like that, right? But it's still a digital meeting. So this is what I mean by digitalize your skills. You have your skills, you have your experiences, and you put them onto the internet, right? You put them on to be able to make money, make an impact. Digital products would let you earn without continuously trading a whole lot of time, different things like that. And so when it comes to skills and experiences, there is no shortage of what you can teach online, right? There is no shortage of how you can package these things to put them on the internet to sell. And I'll give you some examples here in a bit. But one thing I want you to take away before we even dive in is the digital economy is growing. The digital economy is growing rapidly. I did a video the other day talking about from 2020 until I believe it was 2024, it grew from about 200,000 people were working digitally full time to I believe it was 1.5 million. Do not quote me for sure, but it is on my profile. And so what does that tell me? Like in 4 years, I just remember seeing in 4 years we saw like a 7.5 times jump, right? That is a large jump in order of digital creators, okay? And so, how are they doing it? We're not going to talk about influencer or anything like that today. What we're going to talk about is digitalizing your skills and digitalizing your experiences. And so, what counts as a skill? So, taking away not just certifications, not just degrees or anything like that, but I want you to think about your lived experiences. Think about what people come to you for. Think about, lessons that you've learned, things that you've overcome, how you got from point A to point B in something, right? Those are all different things that you can teach on digitally through a product, through a service, through, whatever it is. And like I said, we'll jump into it. And so some examples of that, right? So let's say you're somebody who has overcame burnout. You experienced burnout, you went through a horrible time and you found a method to overcome it. You were able to, put the steps into place and come out on the other side of that. You could take that and you could turn that into some form of like a wellness mini course, right? And that would be niche specific for people experiencing burnout. That is one way to take an experience, a lived experience, and digitalize that experience. Another one could be something like if you are a fitness instructor or a yoga instructor or something, you could do a pre recorded class series, right? You could take your skills, take your expertise in the fitness industry, record yourself doing the workout, record yourself doing modifications, and talk about your journey, talk about how you overcame from either how you toned your muscle, how you lost x amount of weight in x amount of time, and these were the exercises you did, and yada yada, and give it a target audience. And once you have that target audience, you package it up and you sell it. Okay, and those two would be like course examples. Another thing you could do is write an ebook about how you went through a process. Another thing that you could do is you could come up with an email course, right? So like I have, for example, I have a free email course. It's 5 days, and in 5 days you're able to like learn how to rewrite your identity, because it's a method, it's a process that I came up with. And so when we there's no shortage of things that you can teach. There's no shortage of skills or anything like that to be able to package and put online. The biggest thing too is, even though we're talking digital products, I need you to think beyond just putting a simple link in bio, okay? Learn the skills of SEO so that you can take what you are doing, you can take the skills and experience that you have, and you can branch out off of strictly social media. There is no reason that if you are able to write an ebook talking about a process, that you can't go and put that on Amazon. Learn Amazon KDP, learn Amazon keywords, right? Learn how to be seen in these different spaces. This is how you monetize your skills in the digital age. This is digitalizing your skills and then making money off of it. You cannot go to a 9 to 5 and or I'm sorry. No, yes, that's what I'm saying. You cannot go to a 9 to 5 and decide how much money you're going to make that day unless you're in sales. Sales is probably the only 9 to 5 that you could do that. But you can create something and then go and push it out in different places in order to sell more, outside of just social media. So take that, and also, like I said, take it to Amazon, learn the Amazon skills, or I'm sorry, learn the Amazon, the KDP skills, the KDP keywords, right? And so when we're thinking about this process, you're like, okay, Nikki, well, I hear you digitalize my skills, but like, what are my skills? How do I do this? Well, first, I want you to start asking yourself a couple things, right? What do people always ask you for? That is always like a good indicator of something that you are knowledgeable in, right? So, what do people come and ask you for? What have you mastered that felt hard at first? Think about the journey that you have been on. Think about, like I gave an example earlier about burnout, right? Think of something that you have overcome. There are self-help books on, divorce processes, co-parenting with a narcissist, like all kinds of stuff, right? And these are people who had to experience it firsthand and create their own process in order to come out on the other side. And so I want you to think about that when you're thinking about your experiences. How did you move from point A to point B? And when you figure out and you write out how you moved from point A to point B, then that bridge right there, the A to B journey, that is your method. And that is the transformation that then gets packaged into the product that you can sell. This is how you start an online business. This is how you start making money online. You find people who have a similar problem that you once had, and you walk them through the steps to be able to overcome it. And you can do this via a product, you can do this with a service, you can do this in different ways, right? You could combine the two. I'll give you an example. So like one of my methods is intuitive writing. And so in my bio, there's an intuitive writing course, and then you can also, like, on the service aspect, we can do intuitive writing together, right? And so these are just different ways to digitalize it. There's a course, there's an email course, there's an ebook on something else, but you see what I mean? So all of the different skill sets then come together and then can be packaged in different ways. And then the cool thing is once you learn how to package this in different ways based on how hands-on it is or how hands-off it is where you get into your price points. This is when you decide, the money that you want to make online and how you want to do it. And so obviously keep in mind, if you're looking to replace your income and you're wanting to do low ticket, you're going to need high volume. You're going to have to understand conversion and numbers, right? So if you're doing low ticket but you want to make a full-time income, well then you're going to need high volume. You're going to need a lot of people to see it in order to supplement that, right? Now, if you're wanting to do more high touch things and you're wanting to take people or guide people on their own journey via a service, you can charge more for that because now they're getting your time, right? And so when you're charging more, you don't necessarily need such a high volume. What you need then is relationships. You need to be talking to more people. You need to be getting in front of different people, right? And getting in front of more people because now you're in their pocketbooks. They're spending more money on you. So it depends on how you want it to run. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. These are just things to think about when you think about the capacity that you have in order to monetize your skills and to digitalize your skills to be able to monetize on them. So what capacity do you have? What audience do you have right now? What does your audience know you for? What do they like you for? What do they trust you for? Right? These are all certain questions to ask. You can start off putting a teaser out there. Start off with a freebie if you want. You don't have to. A lot of people don't do freebies. I'm not saying you have to. But if you wanted to get a feel, you could create something very low, very you know, entry level, if you will, to see how people feel about it. Does it resonate with the people? Are they like, oh, I want more of this? Well, now you know you're on the right track. If it doesn't resonate with anybody, then obviously you may have to pivot. But you also need to be honest with yourself and see how many people actually saw it. Because one of the things that people will do in the very beginning, and I know because I'm guilty of it, because I had no sense of self-identity at this time many years ago, one of the things that people will do if you have no self-concept around this stuff is you will create something, you will put it out, you will let maybe 10 people see it. It's 10 people in the wrong audience, and then you're thinking that's not it, it's not for me, this is not the thing, right? And then you go and create something else and create something else. So make sure when you're creating these things that you're actually in front of the right audience. Some of you, if you're wanting to get into online business and you're wanting to, use social media to make money via selling digital products and monetizing your skills, some of you are going to have to understand that you're going to have to start an account from scratch. That is a hard pill for some people to swallow, is the thought of having to start it all over. But if you are, selling, if you are trying to sell a personal training package and your entire audience is personal trainers, well, that's not the audience. You see what I'm saying? And so from that, if you've built an audience connecting with other, personal trainers or other people in your niche, well, you're probably going to have to start over. You have to retrain the algorithm. You have to um let new people see your stuff, right? This account that I'm on right now is brand new. Even though I've been doing, and talking about different variations of what I teach, this account is brand new. It's not even a month old because what I was talking about was not hitting and resonating with the audience that I had. And this is the part that gets uncomfortable for a lot of people. This is when they back out. This is when they're like, I don't think I want to digitalize my skills because nobody is buying. Nobody, is wanting what I have. It's not that nobody wants it, it's that you're not talking to the right people. You're not in front of the right people. So keep that in mind too. So when we talk about monetizing skills, right? And we talked about it briefly, but I have my notes here. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper, bullet point. What are the different ways that you can monetize these skills? What can you create, right? What is a digital product? And so the different types of digital products you can create our mini courses are one of them. These are typically, I believe they're like 3 to 5 modules, if that. They might be even smaller. They're very like bite size. You can, create a mini course. This takes people on like a small transformation or to teach a specific skill. So like my course, Intuitive Writing Mastery, for example, I consider it a mini course mixed with a toolkit, because even though it's broken down like a bigger course, it is not something that takes a long time to get through, and it's something that you continuously come back to, right? Like a toolkit. I'll break that down in a second. Another thing that you can sell is templates. Canva, Notion, scripts, planners, all kinds of things, right? Templates. If you are an organized person and you have a way that you stay organized digitally, you can take that and you can sell it. If you are an email marketing expert, you're so good with your words, your email open rates are amazing, all of these things, well, then you can take your emails and turn those into a template, right? With blanks. So now you have these email templates with little fill-in pieces so they can fill in, the people who buy it can fill in and make it sound like them, but they've got the framework from you. They've got the outline from you. You see what I mean? So that would be an example of selling a template. A planner. If you have a method that helped you hit your goals in 90 days, manifest in 90 days, quantum leap, whatever it is. And, it was a specific way that you did it in a planner and you put it down in a notebook and all of that. You can take that and you can turn it into a planner, a 90-day planner, and sell it. This is, again, these are skills and experiences that we are digitalizing. Ebooks or guides. This shares knowledge in a structured format. Ebooks are one of my favorite things. If I could spend all my time writing ebooks, I would. I love ebooks. Ebooks are guides though. So this is when you share knowledge in a structured format. So I'll give you an example. I have an ebook in my bio, and the ebook is called How to Write an Ebook and Teach What You Know, because that's how much I love writing ebooks. And it breaks down exactly how to structure your ebook to keep the reader engaged and to be able to take them on the transformation. Okay. And so with ebooks, with guides, the key thing to remember there is it needs to be outlined and structured a certain way so that people actually can take something from it. There's a lot of ebooks out there. I know I purchased some in the past where you don't really get much from them, right? And we don't want that, because if nobody's getting something from it, then nobody is, giving it to the next person, right? Or not giving it, but nobody is recommending it to the next person. Okay. So structure them. Ebooks, guides, make sure you're sharing your knowledge in a structured format. Workshops or master classes. You can do these live. You can do these pre-recorded. You could do these live and then resell them. One thing that you can do, and this is how you would know if you had a viable topic in your workshop or in your masterclass, is you can also, again, up to you, you do not have to work for free, but you could host it for free. You could host the class for free if people attend live, and then you can sell the replay. And so that would be, like I said, workshops or master classes. So you could do them live, or you could do them pre-recorded. You can do them live one time and then sell the recording. The cool thing about doing them live one time and then selling the recording after is when you do it live that time, if you structure it properly, you can have testimonials from it right then and there. So you can gather feedback and testimonials right then and there. And then when you go to sell it, there's now a higher perceived value because other people have found value in it. So then you can package it and sell it. And then the last thing I'll get into is toolkits or bundles. So these are resources that solve a specific problem. So a few moments ago, I had said how my intuitive writing mastery, it is technically a course, but it serves more as a toolkit because it is a resource that you can keep coming back to. So even though it is structured like a course, it is still a toolkit in a lot of ways. And so if you structure, create a course or a mini course, keep in mind that it can also serve as a toolkit, especially if it's something that people can keep coming back to for reference. Then it serves as a toolkit. Sometimes you go through a course and that's it. You go through it, you learn the stuff, and that's that. And then other times you keep coming back to it. There's more, there's more to take from it. There's more to come back to. There's more, you know, um, when you go through something else, then you have to like reference it again and things like that. That's like intuitive writing mastery is the same thing. Each time you have to up level, you'll probably want to come back to those same, what's the word? Methods. And so why are all of these powerful? Why is it so powerful to digitalize your skills? Like what is so important about this? And so the thing that I love about digital products is they are scalable. You can sell one or you can sell thousands, right? Without having to exert more from yourself in terms of providing additional services. I love coaching. Let me be clear. I love coaching, I love consulting, but the thing of it is, I cannot sell 1,000 like hour sessions in a week, right? It's just not feasible. I can't do that. However, if I created a workshop, right? That's kind of like a good overview of the method and takes them on a transformation and things like that. I can sell 1,000 of those in a week. That is feasible to do because it doesn't require me to actually show up anymore in terms of giving the service. In terms of giving the service, it requires me to show up for marketing. That's a whole other separate thing, right? So this is why like digitalizing your skills in the forms of digital products is powerful. Accessible. If you are doing low ticket, this gives people, I personally, I like the menu style of business. I do. I always have, I always will. I like having a product suite. I like having different price points. I like letting people get a taste of different things. And so when you're doing digital products and you have them accessible, you have them at different price points, people can then get a snippet of what you're like, right? People can then purchase a product, be like, oh, okay, this is her style, this is her teaching style, this is her coaching style, whatever, right? They get an idea of you. And then from there, they decide, okay, actually, I do want to work with her, on a higher level. I do want to have her in my space, right? And so this is a great low cost entry point. If you are teaching how to make money, you will never know. The person that is on the other end may then flip what you told them, go get their coin, come back and invest that coin in you at a higher ticket price, right? And so this is why digital products are so good, especially if you are any type of service provider, right? And especially a high ticket service provider at that. They are flexible, which I is the same kind of deal as scalable, right? They are flexible. You create it once and then you can continuously sell it forever. Maybe small updates here and there, but overall it's like a one-time creation and it's done. It just keeps selling. And then the last thing on why they're powerful would be credibility, right? It positions you as a thought leader in your space. It positions you and your methods in a way that makes you authoritative, right? It makes you the authority of that, especially if you have a framework and a method to go with it. Then people are like, oh, okay, that's Nikki's method. That's Sierra's method. That right? Like, you know what I mean? They're gonna recognize that. And then again, taking it back to accessible, if they resonate with that, if they got a transformation of that, well, they'll be like, okay, well, I want more of that. How can I pay her higher? How can I pay her more to like be in her presence, right? And so if you wanted to get started right now on digitalizing your skills, the first thing you want to do is choose a skill. Take a skill that you have, take a piece of paper, write out a few skills, right? Take a skill that you have and pick the one that you both feel confident in and are comfortable talking about over and over again, because you would have to talk about it over and over again. And so choose that one skill. Take it a step further. See if anybody is searching for that. Use TikTok, use YouTube, use Instagram, right? Use social media, to see if people are searching for that skill. If they are, then you know that people are willing to pay for it. Identify a key transformation. What are people going to walk away with, right? So in my ebook, how to write an ebook or how to create an ebook and teach what you know, the key transformation they're going to walk away with is they're going to know how to write an ebook, right? They're going to know how to write and market an ebook. So pick a transformation. Pick a format that matches your style and your audience needs. If you are somebody who is, more of a video consumer, then maybe you create a masterclass. If you are somebody who is more of like the reader type, then maybe you create an ebook, right? So think about that. Think about how you like to consume your content and your digital products. But then also when you're doing research to see if it's viable, think about how your audience likes to consume. Some people only like to consume video. Other people only like to consume reading, right? I could, like me, for example, I'll watch videos to learn, but I'd rather read an article. So think about that. Outline your content. Simple bullet points is fine at first, right? You can structure it later. Just kind of do a bit of a brain dump to get it all out right then and there. Outline the content and then create it and launch it. Put it out there. And then you talk about it over and over. Okay. And so when it comes to the identity, right, of somebody who monetizes or who digitalizes their skills, one of the biggest things that keeps people stuck is this feeling of, I need to know everything. If I don't know everything, no one's going to listen, right? That comes up a lot. And so, one thing that I need you to remember is you don't need to know everything. You need to know what it took to get from point A to point B. You need to know what your transformation is, okay? You need to know the process. And then you find, if you're at point B, you find somebody at point A and you teach them how to get to point B. Or even if you're at point like C, D, right? You could take it back to point A, teach them how to get to point B. It really is that simple. It doesn't have to be, you could be like, okay, well, I know how to do the first part, but I don't know how to do this, this, and that. Don't even worry about it. That's when it gets overwhelming, if anything. People just want to be able to know that they're going to have some form of a transformation. So getting from point A to point B is a transformation. And then as you evolve, the skills that you can digitalize will evolve. You will find more skills that you can put into digital products, into services, things like that. As you evolve, the rest of that will evolve. You're not selling information. You're not overloading with information. You're selling a transformation. You're teaching them how to transform in whatever it is that you're teaching. You're guiding them through steps to get from one point, the point of problem, to the point of solution in that. And at the same time, and I'll give you an example of why you don't need to know it all. I want you to think of like the coaching industry, right? And so coaches have coaches. And the thing of it is, successful coaches still have successful coaches, right? One person's, if we look at it from a financial standpoint, right, wanting to learn how to make money, if somebody has made $10,000 in their business and has secured $10,000 a month in their business and they have a framework that it works, right? That does it. They could then teach somebody else who is wanting to make $10,000 in their business. Now, they might not know how to get to $50,000, so they may hire somebody to teach them that part, right? Like I've hit the 10K, I want to hit the 50K mark. That does not mean that they cannot put something out there and still guide people through a portion of the transformation. Even though they don't know how to hit 50K months, they're not a seven-figure earner yet, they still know how to do something. So I want you to look at it like that. You still know how to get from point A to point B. Therefore, you can show somebody else how to get from point A to point B while you are working to get to the next point also. So don't get all up in your head about, well, I need to know everything, because if I don't know everything, it's not going to work. If anything, the things that are so overwhelming are the ones that end up not selling because it's too much. It just becomes too much. You overwhelm people. There's a saying in sales and it says a confused buyer doesn't buy, right? And so if you're like, well, I'm going to take you on this transformation plus this transformation, we're going to throw this in and all of these things. Well, now they're confused. What are they actually learning, right? So the simpler, the better. Simplify it. When it's simplified and it makes sense, that's when it can sell. And that is just, psychology. Sales psychology 101 is a confused buyer doesn't buy. I was talking to a friend the other day and she was in a mastermind call and it was something about like, I'm going to show you, it was for business. So it was like, I'm going to show you how to get to 30K months. And she was like, this is so much. Like, I just want to hit 5K months. Right. You know what I mean? So that's a perfect example of why sometimes going overboard is not actually, the key to being able to sell more. Simple is always better. So, with that, that is really just a high level overview of how you can digitalize your skills, how you can monetize your skills, experiences, things like that. Nothing really is off limits on what you can teach. There are so many different things that you can teach, different experiences that you can teach. I follow different accounts. Some people teach you how to homestead. Some people teach you how to keep your toddlers busy with activities. Some people help you get through divorce. Some people help you, co-parent. Some help like not go not like stop yelling at your kids, right? There's so many different things out there that are teachable. How to make sourdough, how to, design a wedding cake, right? Like all of these things. So I want you to think outside of the box. Don't think that it has to be money focused. There's like another misconception that like I used to have it too. That was like if you're not teaching how to make money, you're going to struggle. That could not be further from the truth. I said this in a live, I think last week, like, but it was either a guy or a girl. I don't remember. I saw it a few years ago, but somebody was making 250,000 a year, like selling a course on sourdough, making sourdough bread. So there is no shortage of things that people want to learn, right? So think about that. Think about what you're good at. It doesn't have to like think about what you're good at physically. It doesn't have to be financially focused, right? Think about what you're good at physically. If you're good at gardening, if you're good at carpentry, if you're good at woodwork, if you're good at carpentry is woodwork. If you're good at um what else is there? There's so much out there. You're good at crochet, if you're good at knitting, if you're good at, writing, if you're good at singing, if you're good at dancing, um, if you found ways to naturally overcome depression, right? All of these different things are skills and experience that you can digitalize. So think about what you know, think about what you've gone through, think about what people ask you for, and then think about how you can turn that into one of these digital products. And like I said, do not limit yourself to just what is on social media. There are other ways to also sell digital products. Amazon KDP allows for self publishing. You can self publish an ebook. You can self publish a physical book. You can self publish a planner that Amazon will print for you and send out. Okay. So that is all for today. I will see you guys on Friday. Other than that, if you are new here, give me a follow. This account is new, but I am growing it. Where I talk about all things monetizing and digitalizing your skills, intuition, identity, law of assumption, law of attraction, manifestation, all business energetics, all that good stuff is on my profile. So go ahead and give me a follow over there. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe. Bye. I always do that.